Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
What's the fuzz with Sharkie and Bronk?
No one is immune from criticism in rugby league. We do it here. We've done it for more than a decade on commercial radio and podcasting. We've been watching football for 40 plus years, more if you're the Bronk. And we've got various rugby league shows, analysis, criticism, critique, conversation, etc., you name it. But apparently one of the staples of our game has been, up until, well, perhaps certainly this year, a degradation of a rugby league staple show in NRL 360. Now, many people often comment and joke that it really should be called NRL 110 or 130, 120, something like that, because, look, let's be honest, that show for some time really has neglected the 17 clubs in the pursuit of talking about some pet favourites of the hosts and enjoying skewed commentary from hand-selected so-called journalists. Steve Crawley has been in charge of rugby league shows forever and a day, and this particular NRL 360 show, as I said, which has been a staple of rugby league, almost seen as the TV show of Bibles for the game, Monday to Wednesday, and via their other offerings. But this particular panel show has lost its way big time. And it's not without criticism, and it can't be without criticism, and there's plenty doing it. Now, they all get on there and back each other, rub each other's backs, but when you've got a host who's also a player agent, very, very hard to imagine that you can always be balanced in your views and not let your emotions get the better of you. What we've seen since the start of the year and the Dragons' continual losing of games, the scrutiny on club, coach and particular players, not to mention the coach's son. I'm talking about Shane Flanagan and Kyle Flanagan, of course. But the focus and the incessant analysis and biased analysis, in my view, of club, coach, players, etc. this year has been absolutely over the top and really sad. The club CEO and chairman called a press conference this week to announce that Shane Flanagan was let go. And there was also criticism in the media generically that the coverage of their club has not been in the best of light of late and could be better. Well, he's copped some criticism, Lancaster, but I'm here to tell you that he's exactly right, 100% right. He's got every right to stick up for his club, regardless of how it's run internally. That's a matter for them, but the continual nightly scrutiny and over-the-top focus on particular elements of the St George Illawarra Dragons is, frankly, it's been disgraceful. As I said, we've been doing this a long time over the years in various formats and under different names and different panels. And we do criticise coaches, clubs, players from time to time, but not incessantly, and we don't have hidden agendas, and we don't use our nightly platform hosting shows to tighten the screws on a particular place when clearly they're doing it tough. These NRL clubs should come under some scrutiny and are up for fair comment, but we've got a rugby league panel show that for 3 nights a week has been constantly bashing this mob verbally, and it's way out of proportion. And we should remind Steve Crawley, Braith Anasta and co. that there's 17 clubs in the NRL. Now, you call the show NRL 360. That gives the impression that it's doing full circle of the game. Well, that's absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. The majority of the seasons thus far, they've neglected half the competition. They never get mentioned. I mean, you've got Cameron Ciraldo, farting or scratching an eyelash over there at Belmore, and they get talked about. Of course, the pet project, the Dragons, well, say no more. It's quite evident what's going on there and has been. The Broncos always get a run. The Roosters naturally get their favourable comments from time to time. The Tigers have been mentioned due to their good form, which is nice to see. Nice change from the usual nonsense that they've been copying. And every pancake day, we might talk about another club. I'm not so sure that this is NRL 360 any longer. Maybe Agenda 360, because there's certainly plenty of that going on. And it has to be called out. I mean, if I was Steve Crawley, I'd be embarrassed by this show. I don't know who's running it these days. I've got a theory. But he's basically, I think, left the keys on the desk and letting others have way too much control over content. And I'm not so sure there's an audit all that often of the content and to what degree. So my suggestion to Steve Crawley is I wouldn't be proud of this show any longer. And if you read social media, you don't just read the praise, you also read the public backlash when you get something wrong. And there's something very wrong with this current show. My suggestion is clean house, because people are paying for this. That's the other thing. This is subscription TV. People are paying for this. You've got to offer a show with some balance. You should be offering a show that covers all 17 clubs and all issues in the game, not just trying to run agendas to tighten the screws on a place already doing it tough. Totally unnecessary. And it's really, the show's become unsavoury. So the hosts need to pull their heads in and get some balance back in the joint. Otherwise, people might stop paying for it, might stop paying to watch it, and may not watch it. There's plenty of other offerings covering rugby league these days. Agenda TV, it's alive and well in 2026. The question is, and will be, how long will it continue in this vein? And I guess for Braith and Co. and Steve Crawley, who's next on the agenda? And will you be going as hard on them as you seemingly have at the Red V and Coach Flanagan and his son and others? Pull your heads in. Pull your heads in.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.